Hello, everyone.
Hello, teacher. Is everything all right?
Everything is good with me. How about with you?
Great.
That's good to know. Very good to know. Okay. Oscar, how are you, my friend? Camila, Vanessa, are you guys all right?
Yes, Roberto.
Yes.
I loved your enthusiastic yes. That's very good, Vanessa.
This is because I'm very tired, but it's yes.
Well, that's the way. That's the way. Okay. Yes. Forget about the tiredness. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is just a matter of later you get some sleep and tomorrow you'll be 100% fine. Okay. All right. I guess that almost everyone is here, so we can start talking about the long lesson we have to see today, which is walking around town. As I told you, the vocabulary is very extensive, but at the same time, you will be able to recognize a lot of words that we have seen in the past 4 weeks, okay? So you will observe that it's pretty similar to what we have already taught. Ecosystem, commute, okay? And things like that, all right? So, as I usually do, before you say something, I'm going to share my screen because yesterday we only heard. We didn't have a chance to listen, pay attention to the new words, pay attention to the new expressions, right? And also to talk about it. So that's what we are going to do today. So I think everyone is here, so we can start. Right, Oscar?
Yes.
Let me know if the sound is clear and good, okay?
Okay.
Just say something. Yeah, okay? Like Vanessa said, yes, it's good. Or, I can't hear it, teacher, okay? Let's go?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okie dokie.
Walking Around Town by Michael Stahl. It was a light, spring Sunday in Brooklyn, New York. Doug and his wife, Eve, were enjoying it with their copy of the Sunday New York Times newspaper, which they would pleasingly read section by section over a hearty breakfast of eggs, bacon, and, of course, some warm and soft New York City bagels. Both Doug and Eve were hard-working people, having to commute by subway throughout the week into different parts of their neighboring borough of Manhattan where both of their offices were located. Therefore, they usually took full advantage of their days off by lounging around their apartment, reading and watching television. This was especially true throughout the winter, when temperatures were too cold and the skies too cloudy in New York to make Doug and Eve leave their place if they did not absolutely have to. They could rest and recover from their long work week indoors, away from the snow and chilly temperatures, just as well as they could outside, and probably even better so. However, this was the first clear and relatively warm day of the year that Doug and Eve could go outside and enjoy wholeheartedly, without having to bundle up and pile on layers of clothing. Eve became anxious as the morning neared a close and the afternoon came upon them. She desperately wanted to go outside exploring and snap photos with her brand new digital camera, which she had bought just the day before. She was worried that Doug would not be up for such a trip and he would give the excuse that he was too tired. Eve was also hoping she could coax Doug into becoming a little more enthusiastic about photography himself, so they could plan fun photo excursions together. After all, they lived in one of the 5 boroughs of the city of New York, which ranks among one of the biggest cities in the world, and is overflowing with countless images worth capturing on a camera. Eve really loved photographing the city, though she would not take as many photos in the frigid winter time, and thought getting Doug into it too would give them an excuse to have some extra fun time together. Doug, Eve began a little tenderly, and nervously. How about we head into the city today? New Yorkers tend to refer to Manhattan as the city, even if they already are residents of the 5 boroughs, because the island is really its epicenter. What for? Asked Doug, sipping his juice with a puzzled look on his face. Eve sighed. She was wishing for the conversation to go more smoothly. Well, I'd like to take some photos today. It's beautiful outside. And I thought you'd like to come along, she said. Doug replied with a simple "oh." He folded his paper and put it down without much of an expression. Eve didn't know how to react to that. Then, Doug got up and left the room, making Eve wonder what in the world that meant. Did he want to go? Was he angry at the request? "What are you doing?" she asked him, projecting her voice down the hall. "I'll be right there," he said. After a moment, Eve heard Doug's footsteps re-entering their little dining room. She looked up and saw him smiling, holding 2 cameras, her brand new one and the other one he had secretly bought for himself as well. Doug and Eve left their apartment and began walking the pavement toward the subway stop they were very familiar with, looking forward to their day of photographing the wonderful sights of New York City. What they, like most New Yorkers and city dwellers around the world, probably did not even realize, is they were going to observe all the highlights while being part of a tremendous ecosystem. People usually think of an ecosystem as something much more natural than a city with incredibly tall, man-made buildings on top of concrete that run parallel to streets with zipping vehicles spewing toxic carbon monoxide into the atmosphere. Typically, the ocean comes to mind as an example of an ecosystem, or the rainforests of South America, while the African deserts could be another. However, an ecosystem is simply defined as a community filled with living and non-living organisms that interact with each other within a particular environment. And an urban ecosystem is actually the one ecosystem that human beings are in fact most familiar with, while it is also arguably the only ecosystem in the world that is growing. Like they usually do on Mondays through Fridays when traveling to and from their jobs, Doug and Eve decided to take a local subway line from their home in Brooklyn to the island of Manhattan to enjoy their Sunday. New York City has a massive subway system that helps people get around. The trains travel above and below ground, over bridges and through tunnels. These electrical behemoths are vital parts of the city's ecosystem, for they, in effect, help people survive a bit easier than if the trains did not exist. Human beings are incredibly social creatures. In other words, they naturally desire communication and companionship with other people. The city's subways allow that to happen with much more freedom and ease, not to mention the quicker pace that is possible compared to the alternatives of a horse and buggy or walking. Furthermore, the subways help individuals get to their jobs, allowing them and other people to be productive. Necessary goods, such as food and supplies, become more easily available to people with better transportation. Plus, important services like medical treatment and education can be more easily taken advantage of. Both Doug and Eve took some last-minute photos of the incredible Manhattan skyline through the windows of the subway car before it headed underground, into a tunnel, and through the East River into the subterranean depths of Manhattan. When Eve and Doug walked upstairs from the subway station onto a Manhattan sidewalk, the first thing they saw were tremendous skyscrapers standing thousands of feet high. The island of Manhattan is littered with hundreds of huge buildings that have become world famous for, not just their height, but also for their recognizable architecture and symbolism of mankind's never-ending desire to create. Doug and Eve immediately reached for their cameras and started taking some photos of buildings like the Empire State Building, the Freedom Tower and the Chrysler Building. Many of these skyscrapers are essentially incredibly large office spaces. Therefore, the buildings serve a vital function in the ecosystem in that they house many people throughout the day, while they are working on any number of projects that could help others. A large percentage of these buildings are also homes to restaurants and eateries where people not only enjoy plenty of available nourishing food, but commiserate with each other as well. One of the drawbacks of so many skyscrapers is that it creates shade. This might sound like a positive, and it partially is because it gives people relief from the hot rays of the sun. However, too little exposure to the sun is not a good thing either. The sun is blocked so often from New York residents by those buildings, that people are not getting enough vitamin D into their bodies, because the sun's rays help build the levels of vitamin D. Still, it is important to recognize that these buildings of Manhattan are, in some ways, as natural a thing as an anthill or a bird's nest. First of all, human beings, who are undoubtedly a part of nature, have built them, and they have been built by raw materials taken up from the planet's resources. Certainly, soil has been covered by concrete and iron, but there are plenty of places in nature where there is no rich soil, like Antarctica, for instance. The previously hilly island that had thousands of trees on it has simply been exchanged for an urban ecosystem containing different things that serve the same function as many others that are called more natural. In addition, skyscrapers still must be built with respect to many laws of nature. An elite architect along with the construction crew cannot simply erect a building that stretches to an infinite height. The effects of gravity, wind, and, yes, the density of soil still within the earth of Manhattan, must be considered in the planning and construction of a building. Eve knew that if she was going to have a successful day of photography, she and her husband would have to take a trip to Central Park. Central Park is located in the middle of Manhattan and takes up quite a chunk of land. It includes a couple of ponds, hundreds of trees, large grassy areas, rocky parts, and trails for urban hiking. Many species of animals call Central Park home, too. For some of them, it may be the only place within New York City where they can actually survive. Central Park was constructed because city planners knew that New Yorkers would need a getaway location, a place where they could reconnect with nature, or at least the parts of it that are more traditionally considered natural. It is still certainly the case that New Yorkers need this outlet, which explains why Central Park still exists today as the price of local real estate has only increased over the years. Parks like this one soften the urban experience, giving locals a place to relax and engage in important recreational activities. Many scientists note that, though cities are ecosystems and a growing part of nature, the loss of greenery is a severe problem that needs to change. The urban planners of today are becoming more sensitive to this by making sure to include parks, taking a page out of the books of those who helped create Central Park as they continue to build new cities and expand upon those that have already been founded. Doug and Eve strolled around the park for quite a while. They took tons of photos, ate lunch together, and even rode the famous merry-go-round. They were truly taking advantage of the pleasures allowed by the existence of such an incredible and unique location. When Doug and Eve left Central Park, they began to chat about all of the noise in the city and the overflowing garbage cans that were seemingly on every block. These are common complaints made by many about the urban ecosystem, and might be more noticeable just after leaving such a beautiful place. Though they are considered to be large negatives of urban life, it is nearly impossible for noise pollution and garbage to be avoided. Noise pollution is a byproduct of the large population and all of the transportation needed to get them around. Without such transportation, humans would not be able to live, prosper, and interact as effectively. Many people would rather not think about the existence of bugs, rats and other organisms that can live off of garbage, but they too are part of the ecosystem and would not be able to survive as easily in many other parts of the world. Doug and Eve took the same subway back to their home in Brooklyn. Tired from a long day of walking around the city, they kicked off their shoes and sat on the couch in preparation for a nice movie viewing. The film was a documentary about living in the backwoods of Montana, enjoying life in a forest's ecosystem. Doug and Eve thought about vacationing there, inspired by their afternoon in Central Park, wanting to be closer to some more nature. They didn't even stop to think that they had both been active participants in an urban ecosystem, a particularly unique part of nature, over the course of the entire day.
Excellent. It's long, but did you find many words that you are not familiar with or not really? Difficult or no?
Some words, yes, some words is new
Yeah,
But
for me.
for me
would
too.
you say that, for instance, a large percentage or a small percentage in relation to the size of the article?
Yeah, small percentage for me.
That's what I felt,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Because, and the words that probably you did not understand are probably synonyms to words that you are familiar with, okay? As we are going to see, okay? So, as I told you, I selected this carefully because we have already seen at least 95% of the words here, maybe with synonyms, but we have seen them. So let's read and discuss, and we can stop after each paragraph and talk about, okay? And by the end of it, I'm sure that everyone will have a clear idea, okay? So Gloria, as usual, could you start reading, please? It was a light.
Walking around town. It was a light spring Sunday in Brooklyn, New York. Doug and his wife Eve were enjoying with their copy of the Sunday New York Times newspaper, which they would pleasingly and
Pleasant. Yes.
pleasant read session by session over a hearty breakfast of eggs, bacon,
Bacon.
and of course, some warm and soft New York City bagels.
I love bagels.
Me too.
Here
I
in
love
Europe,
eggs with bacon.
yes,
too.
What
here in
is
Europe,
this, teacher?
Eagles
Bagel?
with cream cheese.
and salmon.
Wow.
Smoked salmon, cream cheese, and bagel. The
Yeah.
best I can get.
Oh,
The
my
best.
Yeah.
Every time I go to New York, the first place I go, the first day I arrive, it's a place on 11th Avenue called Murray's. Murray's. They make the best bagel in New York and the best sandwiches with bagels. It's called Murray's. Murray's.
11 with
11th Avenue. I don't remember the cross street, but it's all the way down. It's all the way down. It's really, last time I was staying in a hotel at Times Square, and I remember that I walked almost 2 hours to get to Murray's, but it was worth it.
Yeah, 11 so close a river, yes?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Not far from the East River. Yes.
East River, yes.
Okay, what is bagels? Bagel is a bread that looks like a donut.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's round and has a hole in the center, okay? And its bagel is a Jewish bread. It's typical from Israel.
Yeah.
From Israel, okay? But it is very common in the USA, especially
In Canada too.
in New York, where there are more, maybe you're going to be surprised by this, more Jews than in Israel.
Wow.
Were you familiar with this?
Wow.
Yes.
It's
Isn't it
like
amazing?
a
Wow.
French bread in here.
Yes, exactly.
I didn't know. Wow.
Yes, yes. The last time I read, there are more more Jewish people in New York than in Israel. Okay. So the Jewish community is pretty large. Okay.
Wow.
And this is a traditional bread, just like the challah, the challah. Okay. But the challah I don't like very much. I prefer bagel. Okay. Any other question about this first paragraph?
I'm good.
Oh. Pleasing go. Pleasing.
Pleasingly.
Pleasantly. What's pleasing? When you say, pleased to meet you, it's very difficult to please everyone, okay? Every time you try to please everyone, you are probably going to disappoint someone, okay? Pleasing is the gerund and the adjective, and pleasingly, that means with a lot of joy, with a lot of happiness. They read section by section.
With pleasure.
Yes, over a hearty means a substantial breakfast. Okay, a hearty breakfast of bacon and eggs, and of course, some warm and softy New York bagels. Okay,
Okay.
another question?
No.
Yes or no?
No,
All right.
no.
Can you read the second paragraph, please? I separated here at television, okay, because it was especially long.
Both Doug and Eve were hardworking people, having to commute by subway throughout the week into different parts of their neighboring borough of Manhattan, where both of their offices were located. Therefore, they usually took full advantage of their days advantage of their days off by
Lounging around.
lounging around the apartment, reading and watching television.
Any problem about this second paragraph?
No.
Lounging.
Lounging means doing nothing. You know, like in every hotel, every airport, there is always a lounge for the people to sit and relax and wait, okay? So they spend their days, they took advantage of their days off by lounging around. That means doing nothing, just sitting around their apartment, reading and watching TV, okay? Are you familiar with this word here?
It's like a resting.
Yes, resting.
Yes. Okay.
Resting.
Thank you.
Yes. Are you familiar with this word borrow?
No.
No.
Yes, it's very interesting because I haven't seen this word used in other cities. Usually we say neighboring or neighborhoods, but New York City is divided in 5 distinct boroughs. Oh, Robertinho. Boroughs. Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, and Staten Island. Together, these 4 boroughs, together, they make up New York City. Understand? So when we talk about New York City, many people only think about Manhattan. That's one of the boroughs, but there are 5. Staten Island, Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens. As a matter of fact, I would say that probably one of the coolest boroughs in New York at this moment is Brooklyn. You can spend, yes, you can spend like a wonderful day walking around Brooklyn, enjoying some of the best Italian restaurants in New York, in Brooklyn. Okay, probably better than the Italian restaurants that you have in Little Italy. Okay, Brooklyn is amazing. Okay, it became a very expensive place to live nowadays. The price of
It's a old neighbor,
but they have renovated everything, Oscar.
Yeah.
Yes, the old apartments have become very expensive apartments. The price went up from like 200, 300,000 to $2-3 million.
Wow.
Okay? Well, you don't believe the price of the houses and the apartments, especially if you face Manhattan. If your apartment faces Manhattan, it's worth more than 4 or 5 million. Probably as expensive as an apartment on Fifth Avenue facing Central Park. Okay, it's really, really nice, really nice. I spent 2 days walking around Brooklyn the last time I was there, and I loved. Okay, Bronx, no, too much Latinos, too much Puerto Ricans, Cubans. Okay, even I think Harlem, which is in Manhattan, I think it's better than Bronx. Okay. Queens is a middle class, and Staten Island, nothing to do. It's not worth a visit. Okay. It's just a sleeping area of Manhattan. Everybody that lives there just goes to work every day in Manhattan. There's nothing to do there. Any question about this or no?
No.
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 Camila, can you read this next part for me, please? This was especially true.
This was especially true throughout the winter. Throughout the winter, when temperatures were too cold and the skies too cloudy in New York to make Doug and Eve leave their place if they did not absolutely have to. They could rest and recover from their long work week indoors, away from the snow and the chilly temperatures just as well as they could outside, and probably even better so.
Okay. Any problem about this or no?
Why chilly in this case? Chilly temperatures.
It's
Cold temperatures.
Cold, like cold. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have chili con carne. In that case, it's a Mexican food, but that's not with the Y. It's chile with double L and final E. Chili con carne. Okay, it's a typical Mexican dish. Okay.
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 Another question about this or no?
No.
No.
Teacher,
Yes, sir.
throughout in this case could be replaced for during, for example.
Not exactly. Okay. Not exactly, because throughout it means from the beginning to the end. During can be during a certain part. Throughout means the entire part. Okay, that's the only difference. That's the only difference. Okay, if you tell me like during the morning, I usually prepare the lessons. During the afternoon, I teach them. Okay, during the evening too. But throughout the day, I speak English. Okay, throughout the day. I think I speak much more English than I speak Italian. Okay.
Okay, teacher. Thank
you. Another question about this? Hello?
No.
No. It's okay.
No.
Okay. Excellent. Gina, could you read the next part for me, please, my dear?
Okay.
I separated for you. However,
this was the first clear and relatively warm day of the year that Doug and Eve could go outside and enjoy wholeheartedly.
Very good, Regina. You see, you have 3 words practically,
Yes.
whole-hearted and the suffix ly. So I just say wholeheartedly. If you try to pronounce all together without any, okay, so wholeheartedly,
Wholeheartedly, without having to bundle,
up,
bundle, bundle up. And the afternoon came up.
no, you
Upon
skipped
them.
online,
No.
Oh,
Bundle up and
up and
pile,
pile on
layers.
layers of clothing. Eve became
Anxious.
anxious as the morning neared the close and the afternoon came upon them.
Them,
She
desperately,
desperate,
desperately
she desperately
wanted,
wanted to go outside exploring and snap photos with her brand new digital camera, which she had bought just the day before. She was okay. She
so
was
far, so good. She was worried that
she was worried that Doug
Doug,
would
Doug, Doug.
Doug. She was worried that Doug would not be up for such a trip, and he would give the excuse that he was too tired.
Okay. Any question about this part?
Yes,
Bundle.
Roberto. To bundle up.
Bundle up.
Yes.
Yes, that means
Yes,
bundle up and pile on layers of clothing. That means putting on a lot of clothes, like undershirt, a shirt, a sweatshirt, a jacket, an overcoat. Okay, like 5 layers of clothing. Understand?
Mhm.
Yes, in New York, sometimes you have to wear several layers of clothing because the weather changes very fast. So it is possible. New York is one of the few cities in the world where it's possible to have 5 different weathers in the same day. Okay? It can be cold in the morning, warm up by lunchtime, gets foggy in the afternoon, rains late afternoon, and it snows at night the same day. So in New York, they always say, if you don't like the weather, just wait, it's gonna change. Okay, if you don't like the weather, it's very common to say this, just wait, it is gonna change. Okay? Any other question?
No.
Oh,
Okay. Snap some photos is the same of take photos, okay? Sometimes I want to say, oh, that's a nice picture. That is a nice snap. It's the same. They are synonyms, okay?
Okay.
Erica, can you read the next part? Evie was also hoping.
Evie was also hoping she could coax
Doug.
Doug into becoming a little more enthusiastic about photography himself, so they could plan fun photo excursions together.
Excursions.
Excursions together. After all, they lived in one of the 5 boroughs of the city of New York, which ranks among one of the biggest cities in the world and is overflowing with countless images worth capturing on a camera. Evie really loved photographing the city, though she would not take as many photos in the frigid winter time. And though getting Doug into it too would give them an excuse to have some extra fun time together.
Okay, good. No problem here. Any question about this part or no?
yes. So Cox.
Coax. Coax means influence. Change his mind. convince Doug. Okay?
Okay.
Any other question, guys?
This dog is like my husband.
Ah,
Yes,
Yes, and it's funny
he
because
don't like go out.
yes, and it's funny because Eve like taking photographs. Doug doesn't like taking or going out. Okay, my wife hates when I stop to take a photograph. Understand? She likes walking, shopping, drinking. Okay, I like photographing. Okay, taking pictures. Okay, but she doesn't. No, every couple is different, Claudia. Okay,
Yes,
we just need to learn and understand the other people's way of living. Another question or no?
Teacher,
Roberto.
overflowing.
which ranks among.
It's
Just a
like
moment.
between.
Yeah, let me find it here. Among. Yes. Do you know what's between, like Gloria said?
Yes, among sim, but ranks,
Rank.
not ranks.
Ah, rank. That
Rank.
means is positioned. Is positioned among the
And,
top cities in the world.
okay.
Okay, like if you ask anybody, what are the top 5 biggest cities in the world? They're going to say Beijing, New York, Sao Paulo, Mexico City, okay, London, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overflowing, teacher.
You see, over, it always gives the idea of in excess, okay? That's why we say that Fulana died of OD. OD means overdose,
Excess.
okay?
Yes,
It was a dose in excess, okay?
yes.
Overdose. Every time you see over in front, it means in excess. So overflowing, that means the places that you have in New York that is worth taking a picture are enormous, okay? Innumerous places. They are overflowing, okay? Understand the verb to flow or no?
Yes.
Like the river
Yes.
flows,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
It's overflowing
Yeah.
with countless images, okay? Impossible to count. There are thousands of places that are interesting to be photographed in New York, okay? Thousands, not just one or 100, thousands. Every little corner has an interesting place. It's either a old diner, or it's a park, or it's a graffiti on the wall, okay? I also love taking pictures in New York. Every time I go there, I always take pictures, and a lot of pictures, okay?
I am watching the series Suits.
Oh,
Uh,
it's fantastic.
There is in New York.
Yes, I have
Uh,
seen it.
yeah, they show the show New York the in the night, in the morning. It's very beautiful.
Yes, unfortunately, that series finished because one of the main actresses, she married the prince of
Yes,
England, and then
yeah.
she's not,
Go away.
yes, and then finished the series. I don't
Yeah.
think there is a possible continuation. I don't know.
But this series is show many
A lot of
many
places in New York, a lot of places.
many views of
Yes,
New York
restaurants,
City.
nice
It's very
places to go.
beautiful.
Yes, I have seen all the seasons.
Yes.
Another question about this?
No.
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 Okay, I think the last one that read, was it Erica or Regina?
Erica.
Okay, Dirce, can you read this next part for me, please? Doug.
Doug, Eve began a little tenderly and nervously. How about we head into the city today? New York tends to refer to Manhattan as the city, even if they already are residents of the 5 boroughs, because the island is really its epicenter. What for? Asked Doug, sipping
Doug.
Doug, sipping his juice with a puzzled look on his face. Eve sighed. She was wishing for the conversation to go more smoothly. Well, I'd like to take some photos today. It's beautiful outside, and I thought you'd like to come along, she said.
Okay, this part is very funny. Any question about this or no?
Tenderly.
No.
This is how a woman usually talks when she wants to ask for a favor to her husband. It was something like, honey, how about we head into the city today? And the husband, what
I'm
for?
tired.
What for? Okay. And she sighed like, she was wishing for the conversation to go more smoothly. Like, why not? That's a great idea. Let's go. Okay, but the guy, what for? Okay.
Okay.
The distraction is interesting, teacher. Puzzle look on his face.
Yes, yes.
Very interesting.
Yes, it's a very classical expression like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, I'm puzzled. That means I'm so confused. Okay, a puzzled look is like, what for? You know, like, why? Okay, probably he was feeling very comfortable at home, but she wanted to go out to take pictures. Okay. Another question about this part. Come on, guys, there are many people here. Only few are participating.
Sipping.
Teacher.
Okay, can you see what I have in my hands?
Yes.
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 Okay, it's a
A
mug.
mug.
A mug, right.
Yes.
And inside of it, I wish it was wine, but it's not wine, it's just water, okay? So I'm going to take a little sip of the water,
Go.
Mm.
okay?
Okay.
A little
That's
sip.
sipping. It's not drinking. Drinking is glug, 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 glug. Just a little sip. This is just like when you order an espresso. You sip it, you know, little by little, okay?
Can you
Okay.
write this, teacher?
Oh, it's here, Gloria. Oh,
Yep.
sipping his juice. Oh, here.
Sipping.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Sipping his juice.
With a puzzled look on his face. Like the guy was like this, oh. Why? What for? What for? Okay. Another question? Or no?
No.
Okay. Vanessa, can you read this next part, please?
Eve sighed. She was wishing for the
Sighed.
conversation.
Sighed.
Sighed. She was wishing for the conversation to go more smoothly. Well, I'd like to take some. I think it's the wrong part.
Don't worry. Continue.
Well, I'd like to take some photos today. It's beautiful outside, and I thought I'd like to come along, she said. Doug replied with a simple, oh. He folded his paper and put it down without much of an expression. Eve didn't know how to react to that. Then Doug got up and left the room, making Eve wonder what in the world that meant. Did he want to go? Was he angry at the request? Was he angry at the request? What are you doing? She asked him, projecting her voice down the hall.
Any question about this part or no?
Hold it.
I've got a newspaper in my hand, right? Can you see it?
Okay, yes.
So he was reading his newspaper like this, and then he folded the newspaper, folded and put it down.
Okay.
Okay, like when you fold the newspaper, like I did, and put it down. And then he left without saying a word. He didn't say yes or no. He just folded the newspaper and left the room. And then she was, what in the world? Okay, does that mean, does he want to go? He doesn't want to go because he didn't say any word. He just left the room. Okay? So, Thiago, can you read this next part? I'll be right there.
I'll be right there, he said. After a moment, Eve heard the dog's footsteps entering their little dining room. She looked up and saw him smiling, holding two cameras. Her brand new one and the other one he had secretly bought for himself as well. Doug and Eve left their apartment and began walking the pavement toward
toward the subway.
Pavement toward the subway stop they were very familiar with, looking forward to their day of photographing the
wonderful sights of New York.
Wonderful sights of New York City.
Okay. Any question about this part or no?
Entering.
Steps.
Footsteps entering.
I'm sorry.
Footsteps entering.
Footsteps. Yes, when you walk, you give steps, step by step. Okay?
Okay, no, entering.
The word before.
Entering.
He entered. To enter in a place. Understand? After a moment, Eve heard Doug's footstep re-entering. That means entering again because he left and then he came back. So he re-entered their little dining room with two cameras, her new camera and another camera that he had secretly bought for himself. Okay?
Okay.
Marcela, can you read this next part for me, please? Oops, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay. After a moment.
What day?
What day
like most New York.
What day like most New York's and city
dwellers
around the world probably did not even realize is they were going to observe all the highlights while being part of a tremendous ecosystem.
Okay.
People usually think of an ecosystem as something much more natural than a city with incredible toll.
Incredibly. Incredible is the adjective. Incredibly is the adverb.
Okay, so man-made buildings on top of concrete that run parallel to streets with zipping vehicles spewing
toxic carbon monoxide
into the atmosphere. Atmosphere.
Okay. Difficult.
So.
Any question.
Dweller. Dweller.
Residence. Residence. Okay? To dwell is the same of to live, to reside. Dwellers are the residents.
Okay.
Another question or no?
Man-made.
Made by men.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Made by
Yeah.
engineers like you
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Eduardo.
Okay. I see, I
Man-made.
see, I see.
Zipping.
Zipping. Yes.
Yes.
It's like when you go like whoom, 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 whoom.
Okay.
Like a zipper. A zipper, if you observe, it has one metal part here, one metal part here, one metal part here. So when it goes up, it starts connecting all the metal parts. So if you see a motorcycle, like in the traffic in São Paulo, they go zipping. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Spewing.
Spewing. Yes, it's like spitting, you know? Toxic carbon monoxide, yes, into the atmosphere.
Okay.
Another question about this or no?
No.
No.
Okay, unfortunately, we don't have any more time, but tomorrow, starting with Cecilia, Maria, Clara, and the other students, you're going to finish reading for me, okay?
Okay.
We do have other parts to read, big parts to read, and then we'll do the comprehension, all right? I see you guys tomorrow at the same time. Thank you very much for watching the class, and I hope to see you tomorrow here, all right? Have a great evening now.
Thank you, teacher.
You too. Thank you.
See you tomorrow,
Yep.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.